What is going on, guys? Bel Air here. How you doing today? I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for asking. That's because we're watching some G2 Esports. The monsters of the North American region have really had it on lock ever since ever since this roster came together. Of course, last season we had Daniel and Beastmode aligning alongside Com on version 1, and as that organization dissolved into G2 Esports, they decided to keep frontman and mechanical wizard Atomic, and yeah, ever since this young but proven trio have been putting North America on notice. This is the team to beat, and they ended up in Major 1 in Copenhagen, going all the way to the Grand Finals, and ultimately losing to a Gentlemates Alpine team who was really on fire, but en route, as we're going to open up the scoring here against Shopify Rebellion, en route to making that Grand Finals, they had taken down Team BDS and Vitality. So in a situation where you're like, yeah, you know, they've really dominated North America, but how are they going to do Europe? I mean, so far, so good. But before we talk a little bit more about the gameplay here and what the point of this video is going to be, let's talk about what we're watching on screen. This is Game 1 against Shopify Rebellion from the Open Qualifier 6 Grand Finals. And this game is not very close. And the reason I chose it is because, I feel like it's a good encapsulation of what G2 has meant to the North American region so far this season. 2-0 here, as we're about to see just an onslaught of scoring here. This is really an encapsulation of what G2 has meant to North America, with the exception of Gen G, who we'll talk about more in a second. But G2 is supposed to beat teams like Shopify Rebellion, and we gotta look at this one. Sorry, let's go back. We're gonna try and stay on topic here and keep the. I feel like I often get caught up and can't finish my own thoughts, but this shot here from Daniel, I mean, watch this. Pure boost all the way through. Perfect slot, upper 90. I mean, just a beautiful strike there from Daniel. And that kind of mechanics that we just saw on display, to transition back to my point, is what's supposed to happen. Shopify Rebellion are supposed to lose to G2. OG Esports SSG, they're supposed to lose to G2. This team really has kind of a big brother effect on the region so far, similarly to what we see from Furia in South America, where they totally own that region, or even Team Falcons in MENA. The most competitive of the regions that have, you know, shot of more than above average shot of contending for a major title. The only one who does not have kind of a big front runner is Europe. And to that point, to actually walk it back a little bit, what about Gen G? Of course, G2, if you ask anybody, G2 are the obvious favorites. And I agree. I think they have the talent to be considered the front runner for Major 2 for this region. But within that one-on-one matchup, Gen G have actually surprisingly owned that series. They ended up dropping the first two series that they had played back in like major qualifier, open qualifiers 1 and 2, I think. They honestly might have both been a major qualifier 1, but since then, Gen G have won the last 4 series, as Parth is going to get an incredible double touch to finally stop the bleeding here for Shopify as a 5-1 in the opening game. Not how you want to start a grand finals that you must win if you're Shopify to secure a major spot, but that's the G2 impact. But yeah, to tie a bow on the Gen G point there, is this game has totally run away from itself. Gen G won a matchup in Copenhagen at the Major 1, and then they also beat G2 in, what was that? I think it was Open Qualifier 4 to start off this this major split. So they have not played it since then, so it's been quite a while. And for what it's worth, those Copenhagen series went Game 5, which was the final game of that best of 5, and then when they met in the Grand Finals of Open Qualifier 4, they went to a Game 7. So it's not like Gen.G has totally owned them, but I digress. Watch this. Daniel's just going to push this corner to get it past the defender and then take the 50. We got a minute left. We haven't talked really at all about the gameplay outside of a few highlights. So just to talk about Daniel here for a second, I think he's probably the most inconsistent member of G2, which in and of itself sounds like it's a diss, but it's kind of not when your teammates are Beastmode and Atomic. Within that inconsistency, where sometimes it seems like, you know, the game can just not speed up past what Daniel can do, because in watching these games, I'm constantly reminded of the difference between quality of what I'm putting out onto the pitch in my gameplay and Daniel. He clearly has an incredibly fast read on the game, and his striking ability is some of the best that we have in the region. I mean, that read right there, he makes an impossible read look incredibly simple, as that is goal 7. Shopify have just essentially given up and are trying anything here. But I think where Daniel shines brightest is when his teammates are really feeling it, and Daniel can kind of pick and choose his spots to operate on the pitch. As a pop-up there, they're going to try and put 8 on the board, but they cannot do it. But we'll talk a little bit more about Daniel and his teammates in the upcoming videos or upcoming games here. So let's pivot over to Atomic, and we'll be right back. All right, here we are. What's this in the background? Is that Champions Field? Oh, you bet it is. Open Qualifier 5, Game 7 against Space Station Gaming. You know, in the last game that we watched from Daniel, I was talking about how G2 have really owned the region, and they have. If you just look at it on paper, they have. I got to go back and rewatch these games before the major starts, but in this Open Qualifier 5, even though they make it to the Grand Finals, and spoiler alert, they're going to end up winning this Game 7 against Space Station here, in case you didn't already know that. But wow, what a recovery from Atomic. They ended up taking Cloud9 to 7 in the semifinals, and then they take SSG here to 7. So it's not like they have just totally overwhelmed the region in the same way on a game-by-game basis that like Team Falcons or Furia have, like I talked about. They still have won all the series. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like it's been just, you know, some complete crushing assault over and over here. But let's focus in here a little bit on Atomic, who has made a World Championship Grand Finals, who has won a major, and Beastmode is just going to cut one all the way down to the opposite side of the pitch there. But Atomic kind of has had to find himself over the course of this season, and to say that makes it sound like he hasn't been playing well. It's not the case. Has continued to put up numbers, but look at the kind of the readjustment on the shot there for the placement. But Beastmode and Daniel, longtime 2v2 partners, played together at the end of last season, ended up playing at Gamers 8 together, and so Atomic kind of had to come in here and figure things out. As let's just take a moment to review the pressure here. So Beastmode able to get one up, and then makes it difficult for Hawks on the backboard. Terrible trying to get rid of the ball there by LJ. And if you recall from the LJ video we actually watched this game. So interesting to see from the other side of things just how easy things seem to look. G2, their style, all 3 players are so gifted that they have this style. I had made a video on Beastmode not too long ago and talked about how on the offensive end they really will just send one and then see what they can make, and then send another, see what they can make, and then have the third waiting kind of deep, so they rarely get beat in transition. And the fact that they're all so gifted mechanically and so good individually has led to them winning so many of their series just on pure talent, similar to like when the Miami Heat, when they ended up what was that, 2016, where they had like they won a ridiculous amount of games in a row, and I'm frustrated that I can't remember how many it was, but they go on this huge streak, and it's like, well, they have D Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh, and even though their bench wasn't too strong, they just had so much talent that it really just didn't matter sometimes. It's just like, yep, they win. That feels like G2 sometimes. It's just like, well, we tried our best and we switched it up and we were really feeling it today, but you know, it's G2, so we ended up losing. But we see here, SSG are trying everything. They're trying to do some, you know, off-speed offensive passing. They're trying to take it solo. They're trying to, you know, rip some from off the sidewalls. And, you know, look, they send Atomic as one, tries to make a play on the ball, forces SSG to knock it away. Beastmode goes up to try and make it difficult. Atomic in transition here, it's just like they're never fully committing all of their resources. And it makes it very hard for the opposing team to get... The opposing team is very disjointed over the course of things. Even that from Daniel, it's like, oh, just a ball rolling, you know, a 50 to the sidewall. It's a pinch, like a semi-ceiling pinch all the way on target on net. You just have to be aware of everything, and there's so many ways that G2 can end up burning you. What I do worry about is how they end up looking at the major, because they are supposed to win this for North America. Furthermore, there's going to be a lot of people who assume that they will just win it, not to be the best team in North America, but actually win the event. So how is that pressure going to wear on G2? We've seen all three of these players in big moments on LAN in the past not do as well as they could, but you know, winning is difficult. There's only a couple of teams that get to do it on these international stages per year, and I think Atomic could definitely be an X factor. They're one of the teams who have the rare ability to say all three of our players could end up being the MVP in a win, and SSG finally get something on the board, probably too little too late here, but seemingly Atomic has just, you know, found his flow very easily here. It doesn't seem like he has struggled. He cuts in when he needs to stop transition. He's just going to let this one go here and get the read on LJ, and that was a pretty easy Game 7, albeit Game 7 here from Atomic, who goes 2 goals and assists and 2 saves. So let's finish up the video on the man of the hour here, Beastmode, who I think has a legitimate chance to be considered MVP for North America this season, and we'll really dive into the gameplay there. Champions Field, once again. So I don't know if I kind of laid this out properly at the beginning of this video, but I'm watching one game from each of these players from each of the Grand Finals, because they made all 3 from this major qualifier. We went Open Qualifier 6 against Shopify to start, and then we saw Atomic take down SSG in Open Qualifier 5. This is Open Qualifier 4, Game 7, Champions Field, against Gen G, the only one that G2 did not win over the course of the season. And a pretty great cut there on the opponent's side from Beastmode. No way. Oh my gosh. All right. Gets bumped by first killer, turns that into momentum, why not? And then is just going to absolutely launch into this one. Great heads-up defense by apparently Jack, because that would have been sick. It was sick regardless. Fit check. Look at Beastmode here, rocking the new G2 decal. Sometimes on Bacchus mod, I'll rock the original. It's a really cool one. And I own last season's as well. For real, not just in Bacchus mod. But this one's a little funky for my taste. All right, getting back on topic. Incredible defensive stop there from Beastmode. And I was just talking with a great supporter of the channel on comments on one of the last videos, And we're talking about, you know, Chronic and LJ, how they're kind of, I view them as kind of similar players. Same with AJ as well. These kind of, the thing that makes them so great, especially within North America, is just incredible on-ball offense. And all of their other things that they do are above average. And the differentiator between them and somebody like Beastmode is that Beastmode is not just above average defensively. He is incredible defensively. And let's look at this goal one more time as he creates this pressure here. And then I really want to focus on the gameplay. I'm just kind of yapping here. But all right, takes one off the sidewall. Crazy spin to stay with it, fakes one out, fakes the reset too. First kill is able to get to it, and that confusion just sets up Daniel for a fairly routine for him double touch there. So I don't know if that actually shows up on the stat sheet. Yes, it does as an assist. I was gonna say maybe like a pass to the past or a hockey assist there, but ends up getting credit for that one. This is the only game that we're going to look at here against Gen G, and as you remember, we opened up the video talking about how Gen G had really had their number as of late. So let's see how they're able to do that and what Beastmode is doing well and what he might be able to do differently. Takes control here, the off speed. Very smart. I think that was Chronic to force out the touch and give it over to First Killer. Beastmode going to track this one well, tries to get the bump out front. And it seems like Beastmode is really trying to up the tempo here, when we've seen in some of these other games where they really just try and slow it down and keep possession and find what they're looking for, knowing that they'll eventually break down the opposing defense. Against Gen G, it looks like they're going pretty up tempo here. Great pass out from First Killer there. Who's going to get the read on this? It's going to be Daniel. Going to put him up 2-0 in Game 7. These Game 7s are important because this is these are those big moments that we see what these teams are made of, right? Beastmode just going to try and float out. Cannot get anything there. But I like the idea, and if that ends up being a goal, that's kind of on Beastmode for jumping a little early there. What he probably should have done once he saw that Chronic wasn't going to boom so that he couldn't get that interception was probably just get grounded again. He kind of really put himself out of position by trying to float. But hindsight's 20/20. Staying back while here, just going to calmly reverse, 0 boost. Knows he can't get up to that one. And this is still in a very narrow position, probably going to end up being a goal, I would assume. If it does not, they're lucky to get out of this one. Beastmode has been very awkward and has not found, I don't think he's found a full boost pad until, of course, as we say that, for what, probably 30, 40 seconds. So for them to stay out of that defensively is very impressive. As Daniel tries to go for yet another double touch setup off his back wall. Let's see how Beastmode is able to manage this one. Pretty great defensively. Now he's going to break out and transition here. But again, not much boost. It's interesting to see how he is not afraid to stay on ball and stay in the play with that low boost amount. Probably a pass out here. Ends up going solo and takes the 50. That was nice. Probably could have tried to find a teammate, but I get that it's probably safer, given the amount of time on the clock, to just take it yourself. Gets absolutely nothing on ball or First Killer there, and if that's a goal, that is yet another transition defensive blunder here in Game 7 by Beastmode. Tries to get the read and just, you know, you got to get something. Atomic gets the block on the goal line, but, you know, not great looks here from Beastmode, who, again, I think has been, it's not like he's been like awful defensively. He's been really stalwart on the goal line, but just in transition, a couple blunders and big moments here have tied this Game 7 up in the waning moments. But that would have been a crazy redirect. Could have got that on target. Whips on that one too. Tries to get back in transition here on First Killer. Got very lucky that his teammates were right there for it. and looks like we're probably setting up for overtime here, as Beastmode has not been very impactful here in his transition defense, where it really has not allowed them to keep the pressure and try and, you know, choke out Gen G, because they've been able to break out in transition with some of those blunders. Yet again, no boost all the way back. Taking those back boosts, I don't know if those were teammates or opponents, but those really make it challenging, more challenging for this G2 team, because when they have full boost, they're pretty much unstoppable. They can get to every ball, so you're not really going to like catch them out of position if they have full possession of their own boost. So even though it might burn you sometimes the risk is like worth it, where it's like, hey, a loss is a loss if it's by a goal or 5 goals. Like, let's just try and, you know, get some boost steals here. But that's easier said than done, as a terrible double commit in the corner there. And now we're really opening things up, as Beastmode is just all over the pitch here, as it's really turned into a scramble in this Game 7 overtime. Another double commit within probably 30 seconds with Atomic that ends up burning him, and that ends up being the goal that puts him away there. So that ceiling attempt that yielded nothing, a good opportunity here, and I mean, there it is. Poor communication ends up crushing him. I remember seeing a couple situations in the videos that I was watching back where Atomic and Daniel bump into each other as well. So maybe that is something to keep our eyes on as we head towards the upcoming major. So that was G2, guys. What do you think about this team? I know that a lot of people probably rightfully have them within the top context of not only the region, but of the teams that are going to be participating in the upcoming event. Where do you have them? I know a lot of people probably have them top 3, but are they top 1 for you? Are they somewhere within the context? Please let me know in the comments below. As always, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Please let me know who you think we should watch next. And until next time, guys, take it easy.